Okay, welcome back. Another tutorial. And in this one, we are going to learn how to make some plans or working drawings, as we call them in the shop. And these are the pieces of paper printed out that we can use as we make the actual cutting board. And those pieces of paper will have all the measurements we need and all the information we need to make this. So it sounds difficult, but it's actually not that hard now that you've got this modeled. And I'm not using my oval cutting board. I am using the the square, interesting multi-piece cutting board. The one thing that this cutting board lacks is any real work for the CNC to do. Like, I could laminate this up and I can cut this on the table saw and I would be done. And we're hoping to have you experience the CNC, so we could talk about ways that you could actually enhance this with the CNC. You might put a little hole in it so you could hang it up, or maybe you could put a groove around the edge to catch any runoff from what you're cutting. So if you're cutting tomatoes or something like that, all the juice ends up in the groove. I mean, we could do something like that. But at the moment, let's just work with this and let's make a set of plans. So to make plans, all we have to do is head up here to the top level and right click and go create a drawing. So we'll create a drawing. Up pops a dialog box, and this dialog box, what we want to pay attention to down here is the standard that we're going to work to. You can consider this for lack of better description at the moment, imperial system, and this one down here, metric system. So if I pick ASME, it's a standard, you'll see that all of my sheet sizes, which are the paper, change to inches. And if I go to ISO, which is International System Organization, you can see my sheets are all in metric. So our printer has 8.5 by 11 paper in it. It's inches, so that's what we're going to pick. We're going to head back up here. ASME is what we want. The paper is actually known as an A-sized paper because they give a letter code to a certain size of paper in drafting world. And we want it in landscape mode, so it's going to be 11 inches long and 8.5 tall. So that's this one here, 11 by 8.5, not this one. This would be a portrait mode. This is landscape mode, so pick that. Okay, that's a long explanation. Push OK and wait. It doesn't take too long, but it does take a little bit of patience while it sets this up. Okay, we're still not set up, still working on it. And 3, 2, 1, voila. Okay, so this is what it comes up like. It's drawn some information based on your the file. You can see something attached to my cursor right now, and I won't talk about that yet, but you see down here, all this stuff has been filled in from your naming of your project. So we can change that, but at the moment, that's the way it sits. It also fills in your name automatically because it knows your account and the date, and it will fill in the scale in a moment. So next step, we're going to place our first view. So this view is called the front view. So front view here, and when I click it on the page, it places where it's going to be. So it's going to be there for the moment. And the scale can be picked over here. So 1 inch on the paper is 8 inches in real life is what this says right now, because it's 1 to 8. If I go 1 inch on the paper is 4 inches in real life. Now it's getting bigger, and then we can just go a 1 to 2, which is 1 inch on the paper, 2 inches in real life. So it's half scale basically, and there we have it. So there's my cutting board placed, and I'm looking at what's considered the front view. So we'll push OK for the moment. And it looks like this. It's drawn in sort of drafting mode, like technical drawing mode. And so why is this considered the front view? Well, if I go back to my drawing here and I look at my cube, it has front. If I go to front, that's what I'm looking at. So that was considered the front. Now, if I didn't like this as my front, say I wanted this to be my front in my drawing, what I have to do is turn it to this side, and then I right click on my view cube and set current view as front. Now this is my front, and then this would be the top, and so on. So I think I'm going to do that. So the key to this though is after you've done that, there we go, save your project, This is important. Push OK. Head back over to your drawing, and you will get an update saying things have changed with this drawing because these two things are linked. This is linked to this. And if you were to make a change in your model, it's automatically going to change in your drawing, except it's not quite automatic. It doesn't immediately change it. You have to double click this little arrow, this little warning up here. It says, hey, things have changed. Do you want the changes? Double click. Actually, single click is all you need. And there we go. So now, when I place the new view, I'm just going to pick that view that I already placed and hit delete. And I'm going to head over here to where you can place a base view. That's what it's called. And you put it in like this now. But now we pick front. Well, actually, it did change it. Push OK. And now I have that view. Now, I clicked it and then my dialog box went away. That's bad, right? No, just double click on that base view and you will get that back. And now I want to change the scale. 1 to 2, there we go. And if I click OK or close, and then I click the base view, I can get this little gray box in the middle and drag it around, and then I can position this. Now, this doesn't look like it's going to work for me though, because when I do my next views, you'll see in a second, they're not going to fit on the page. Let's find out. So this is a front view. What's it look like if I was to look at it from the top? And what's it look like if I was to look at it from this right-hand side? Well, that's what we want to know. So to generate those, you go to this project views or projected view, click it. You pick the view you want to project from, which is the base view, and you drag upwards. Oh, there it is. So that's looking from the top. See how big it is? A little too big. And then I clicked and I left it there. Now I move to the right and I'm going to click and leave that there. And then the last one I'm going to do is way up here in the corner, and it's 3D view. Click, and then push enter to stop placing views. So it's good, except the obvious problem. It doesn't fit my paper. So I'm just going to double click the base view again, change the scale to something that's better, 1 to 4, and look, everything changes. Push close. Now I'm just going to arrange them. So I'm going to double click or single click the base view, drag over and drag down. Maybe that'll sit there. And then I'm going to click this upper or the top view and I'm going to hold and drag down. That'll sit there maybe. So just arranging them nicely on the paper. They always stay in line with each other because the idea is this. Here, I'll bring it in closer. The thickness here, like it's 3/4 inch thick, should be shown straight across as also 3/4 inch thick. These line up with each other. And the length of this view is the same as the length of this view because they are the same object, so they are lined up with each other. The one that can float around is this view. You can put this one wherever you want. So boom, looks like that. The last thing we're going to do in this tutorial is double click this view. These three views are dependent on each other. So in other words, whatever you change in this view is going to be changing up here as far as style. So this one up here is not. So I'm going to double click this. I'm going to change its style and I'm going to make it shaded. I'm going to push OK. There we go. So this one here can be shaded and it doesn't affect these. And so the style that we want on these, double click it, is the style called, well, it doesn't matter too much on this design, but we would normally pick visible with hidden edges. That one, and push close. That's the one we go with. Okay, so we've got our cutting board on the paper, and the next thing will be to add measurements. So that wasn't too tough. See you in the next video where we add measurements.